Greetings, everybody. I want to welcome you here to the Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So we're here on day 4 of my 31 favorite rock albums that were released in December. This one coming from December of 73. I don't think I've ever owned this album. I was thinking back about it. I know I've listened to it, and I can't remember who had it, but somebody had it, and we played it quite a bit. But there was a couple of tracks on here that really kind of stuck in me and have been in me for as long as I've been into rock music. And the two tracks are Jet and Band on the Run, both from the same album, Band on the Run by Paul McCartney and Wings. So this album, again, like most albums in this, came out in December, not a month that was popular for bands to release albums. However, the Beatles and Paul McCartney weren't afraid to do that because they knew they were going to be in the awards and all these award ceremonies and top bands and all that stuff. They were always going to be in there. So they weren't really as concerned, I think, as some other bands might have been. And so hence they've got a few on this one, but this one's the first kind of one of the members of the band. And Paul McCartney and Wings, Band on the Run. This will be my 28th album, so in 28th place, coming here on day 4. So this is a solidly commercial album, there's no doubt about that. It's very poppy, with some kind of slow, kind of, I might call almost ballad-like tracks. I don't know if they're actually ballads, but they have that ballad-like feel to them. A lot of tracks are very poppy. The two songs I liked the best were probably the ones that got the most airplay, Jet and Band on the Run. Both excellent tunes, very catchy. Paul McCartney's voices are fantastic. I think back early, at least when I was younger, when I started getting into moving out of the Kiss era into the 78s, this was a band I listened to a little bit of as well. I did like this album and most of the tracks that are on it. And the reason I liked it so much is I always kind of liked that kind of poppy feel that the Beatles had, which Paul McCartney continued with his own music, but a little bit more modern sounding, well, at least modern for that time period anyways. Paul McCartney was a vocalist that I never minded. I did like him. He wasn't my favorite Beatle vocalist, or it was even my second, but he was still very good vocalist. The Beatles didn't really have a bad vocalist to my way of thinking. They had some very distinct sounds. They're kind of like Kiss. They had their 4 distinct sounds, and all 4 of them were good singers, in my opinion. So Paul McCartney, this album, when he put it out, did very well, I think. Pretty solid album, and definitely well within the range of his type of music. And so he released this in December, and it has to be on this list. It's too good of an album not to be on the list, whether I own it or I don't own it, or whether I have owned it or haven't owned it. Doesn't really matter. I know I've listened to the entire album quite a bit of times. I'm thinking it was a friend of mine who I met in high school who had this album, and when we would go over there to do homework and stuff like that, he played it quite a bit. He had it on a lot. So anyway, so that's my album for today. I hope you've enjoyed the episode that we've done. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons. Don't forget the notification above your head if you want to be notified for the rest of the series as well. And if you got any comments about the album Band on the Run, Paul McCartney and Wings, or anything related to that, you can put that in the comment section below. And we will be back tomorrow with another episode of my 31 favorite rock albums that were released in December. So take care and have yourself a good one. Goodbye.